A little brief background. Many years ago in Boca Raton, Florida, I was struggling with my communication skills and interpersonal skills. And somebody told me about the International Coach Federation. And I said, okay, how do I join? So I actually went through a year training program with the International Coach Federation. And I didn't know what coaching was back then because it was very early, but uh, I loved the experience and the knowledge that I got from going through that training. So when the subject of coaching came up in our conversation about speakers, my first instinct was, let's just find a local chapter of International Coach Federation. And I went online and something just spoke to me about Lori's bio. And I said, this is the perfect person that I think can make a presentation to our Rotary Club. And sure enough, I had a chat with her and she was terrific. So she's going to tell you about her experience as a coach. And just officially, her bio is Lori has a passion to serve and encourage others through her gift of coaching. She's an energetic and engaging speaker, serving leaders who want to make a personal and professional impact on the world. Her coaching focuses on work-life harmony, time priority, career-life transition, self-care, communication styles, coach certification, and leadership transformation. Lori has over 20 years experience in IT, HR, workforce solutions, and healthcare project management. She serves people on their journey of life discovery and living their best life now. Give a warm Rotary welcome to Coach Lori Meringolo.
You got it. Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that wonderful introduction. And I am going to get my presentation started here. So just give me a moment. Want to make sure that I'm sharing the correct screen because I've got a couple of different monitors here. All right, there we go. And if folks would be so kind as to confirm for me that you are able to see the title slide. It's got an eagle on it. Is that coming up?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to, let's see here, minimize that and let's go. So I am honored to be here today with the Rotary E-Club of the Carolinas, and I really appreciate this opportunity to speak to you about how coaching can ignite growth and make an impact for you and your club. And oops, I know it's getting a little later in the day and attention spans are waning, so please stick with me and let's have some fun while we learn a few things along the way. So I did want to share a little bit more about me beyond my expertise so you know where I'm coming from. And I do want to mention here my one and only claim to fame. So in the 4th grade, I did indeed win my local town slogan contest for the witty and rhymey Dover is changing all over. Another fun fact I'd like to share. So it says here on this slide that I'm a Wonder Woman fangirl, and I want to give you some insights about what that means to me. So growing up, I always wanted to be a superhero, specifically Wonder Woman. And as a matter of fact, I was Wonder Woman 3 years in a row for Halloween. To my younger self, Linda Carter personified Wonder Woman on the TV series. So why did I like Wonder Woman so much? Well, here's why. Every time I saw Wonder Woman, she was helping others that needed a helping hand or a golden lasso. And when I see everyone here today, I really see superheroes because your main purpose is to create hope in the world by doing good in the world. So I'd like to share this quote. True heroism is remarkably sober. It's very undramatic. It is not the urge to surpass all others at whatever cost, but the urge to serve others at whatever cost. And that's Arthur Ashe. So before we get into the agenda itself, I'd like to talk for a minute about your kryptonite. Because if we're being honest, everyone has their weaknesses. So what are some of the biggest challenges that Rotarians face? Well, there's attracting new members, appealing to younger generations, engaging and retaining members, fundraising, and adapting to changing needs in the community, to name a few. Plus here, I'd like to make a small call out. Ken was kind enough to share the results of the 2022 Rotary All-Member Survey with me. And from that survey, we know that Rotarians leave Rotary because of these 5 main reasons. There's mismatches in values, perceiving a lack of community involvement, the cost and time involved, and conflicts with other members. So for the next little bit, let me be a superhero to serve you and to help you find solutions through these challenges through coaching. So here's the plan for today. We're going to cover the 5 main points. We're going to discuss, number 1, what coaching is and is not. Number 2, who coaching is for and how does coaching work. Number 3, why credentials matter. Number 4, how coaching can help Rotarians. And number 5, an application, or rather the coach approach and mindset. Then lastly, we'll have space for final thoughts, questions, and I'll share some resources with you. So let's go. So I'm curious, before we dive in, what is the very first thing that comes to mind when you hear the word coach? And I'm going to go ahead and ask either Candace or Ken if you could just read what folks put in the chat, and we can go from there. So what is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the word coaching or coach?
Oh, I hear sports.
Okay.
Ken, is it okay if I do that? Is it all right with that? Okay. Yeah, sports, obviously. Helping people realize their potential.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. So in this context, the International Coaching Federation, or ICF, and I'm going to use that abbreviation liberally because International Coaching Federation is obviously a mouthful. They define coaching as partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. So here you can see I've put together a timeline. I'm a visual person, so I like that. And I'm going to walk you through some of the quick stops in history, and I promise it won't be boring. So starting from the mid-16th century, the word coche was the French term for a carriage. Ooh la la. Then in 1830, Oxford University used coach as a slang for a tutor who carried a student through an exam. And you can see here how the coaching process will later be perceived as carrying clients from one state to another. Then we have in 1861, the term was used to refer to the sports coach for athletes and their training oversight. Then it was 1974, sports psychologist W. Timothy Gallwey's book, The Inner Game of Tennis, the classic guide to the mental side of peak performance, was first published. And here I want to just take a moment to note that Gallwey's contribution is significant in that he tied performance to mindset and went on to become an avid speaker to business leaders, helping them to learn how to maximize their potential. Now we're going to fast forward to 1995 when financial planner turned coach Thomas Leonard, who is recognized as the father of coaching, founded the International Coaching Federation, the ICF. And it is a nonprofit member organization to support the coaching profession through credentialing standards and ethical governance. And here I'm going to just drop a few fun facts, 2023 from the ICF website. Now they have over 57,000 members in 170 countries and territories and 149 chapters. So indeed, coaching is worldwide. And I do want to share a bit here. The coaching school that I graduated from, Coach University, was actually founded by Thomas Leonard. And it being international gave me the opportunity, thanks to virtual training, I was able to meet coaches from all over the world. And I have some of them still friends. I'm friends with them today. So let's talk a little bit more about the ICF and why it matters. We'll get to that in a bit. But first, I want to hear just a little bit from Timothy Galway. The player of the inner game comes to value the art of relaxed concentration above all other skills. He discovers a true basis for self-confidence, and he learns that the secret to winning any game lies in not trying too hard. How many times have you heard, stop trying too hard? So here you can see directly how Galway bridges the gap between performance and mindset. And this was a giant step forward for coaching. Now we're going to talk about a certain bicycle, and I think this is appropriate given we talked about the flag tonight. So let's talk a little bit, and I'll share with you this bicycle analogy. So coaching often gets confused with other types of helping modalities, but I'm going to give you an easy way to keep them all straight. So let's get started with therapy. So in therapy, a therapist or a counselor works with a client to help them overcome their past fears or emotional hurts. So in that way, a therapist could help you overcome, say, your fear of riding a bicycle, or they could explore with you who in your family has ridden a bike before and their successes or their failures and how that may have impacted you. Mentoring, that is a mentor. A mentor is someone who can share their personal experience with you. For example, a mentor could share with you what they did to learn a bike, or to learn how to ride a bike rather, or they can tell you about their favorite bike routes. They could give you their opinion on which bike to purchase. Then we have consulting. A consultant can give you their recommendations based on their expertise and knowledge of the bike itself. They could tell you about the bike's physics and velocity, the different bicycle types, what gear you may need to optimize your bike riding, and how best to position yourself on the bicycle. Next, we have training. A trainer teaches you what you are looking to learn. They could train you on how to build endurance to compete in races, or about why biking is good exercise. And last but not least, coaching. A coach works with clients who come from a healthy place, wanting to better themselves now to face challenges. The coach could explore with you your desire to begin bike riding and what that means to you. So next we are going to get into the section on who is coaching for. And I'll answer that question for you. Coaching is for organizations, businesses, leaders, entrepreneurs, sales, teams, groups, and individuals. So let's go back to you. And I'd like to hear what qualities you think make a great candidate for coaching. So who makes a great candidate for coaching? Please answer in the chat. And then Ken or Candace, if you would be so kind as to read those out.
You're on
Do
mute, Candace.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, you saw my lips move, didn't you? Okay. Enthusiasm, someone who needs a mental breakthrough, a caring person, and I said someone at a turning point in their life,
Okay.
and somebody with a desire to achieve.
Wonderful. Yes, all of those things. So just summing it up, it would be someone who is self-aware, seeking change, motivated, and absolutely willing to see it through. All of those things matter, definitely, and make a great candidate for coaching. So next, we're going to discuss why credentials matter. So I'll drop a hint here. They're more than just some letters after someone's name. So I'm going to just say hello here. If you remember just one thing from this presentation, this is it. Nowadays, there seems to be a proliferation of individuals that label themselves as coaches, but really coaching is more than just setting up shop and calling yourself a coach based on your charisma or your life experience. So like other professional disciplines, standards do matter. And ICF is the gold standard for coaching. And here's why that matters. So ICF established professional standards such as standards for coach training itself, standards for certification, and these are all based on levels of education and direct coaching experience. So I'm going to break them down really quickly for you. So an associate certified coach, or ACC, has completed 60 hours of coach-specific education and 100 hours of client coaching experience. Professional Certified Coach, or PCC, has completed 125 hours of coach-specific education and 500 hours of client coaching experience. And last but not least, we have our Master Certified Coach, or MCC. These are like the Jedi Masters, you guys. They hold or have held a PC credential, and they have completed 200 hours of coach-specific education and 2,500 hours of client coaching experience. Wowza, that's impressive to me. And there are specific standards for coaching competencies. And along with that, there's a continuing education component where you're required to renew your credentials every 3 years. And then complementing those professional standards, there are ethical standards. ICF has a robust code of ethics. And along with that, they have clearly defined the role of a coach. So right here, you can understand how a coach would want to refer a coaching client, and those are also called coachees, to another provider if they discovered that it was in the client's best interest to receive therapy or another modality. And this is very important. So how does coaching work? Our time is short today. I'm certainly not going to be able to fit in hundreds of hours of training into a 25-minute presentation, but at the highest level, I'm going to give you an overview, a general overview, so you can understand the process. And all you have to do is remember ABC. So A is for agreement. That's establishing the coaching agreement. There's going to be 2 agreements. There's going to be one that is an overall agreement, and then there's an agreement on the focus for each coaching session itself. So the agreement would have things like the length of the term of the agreement, the frequency, the duration, the mode of the meeting, be it Zoom, phone, or in person. Again, this is the written agreement. Also things like agreement on the nature of the coaching relationship, its processes, its goals, and then the agreement in each coaching session is the focus for the current session. And that's something that is set by the coachee, the person being coached. Next, we have B, or be yourself. You want to bring your whole self to the coaching session. You want to be ready to explore, be authentic, be vulnerable, be present. Turn off that cell phone, close your email, remove other distractions, cats, dogs too, and kiddos. And then co-create, that's our C. And I'll describe for you what a co-creative relationship looks like. The coachee sets the focus, like we said before, and the coach guides the process. It's a partnership rather than a top-down conversation. Trust and safety is cultivated through active listening and curiosity, and there may be some different perspective taking. Some coaches will challenge you more than others. It depends on their style and it depends on what you're comfortable with. And I think someone put this in the chat. There's such a thing as an aha moment. That's where there's new awareness or learning. And also part of that is translating that awareness into action. Because you can have the head knowledge, right? But unless you have a plan forward to make that come to life, it's not going to go anywhere. And how many times have we had a New Year's resolution that started in our head that was a good idea, but we didn't really have a strong plan of action around it, so it kind of fizzled in about 2 weeks. So now we're going to get to the exciting part for this group, and we're going to dig in a bit more about exactly how coaching can help Rotarians. So we've got some at a very high level, there's self-awareness, strengths, relationships, skills, leadership, personal growth, goals, problem solving, action plans, and I put an et cetera in there, but we're going to talk about each of these first. So for self-awareness, you can increase your self-awareness, understand how you think, how you relate to others, what impact your emotions have on your decision making, and how you show up in the world. For strengths, you can embrace your unique strengths, and I personally believe everyone has their own unique gifts and strengths. But sometimes we don't know what our strengths are, or we know what our strengths are, but we don't know how to use them to their fullest potential, right? Or sometimes we need to work on improving ourselves in certain specific areas. With relationships, you can improve your relationships, you can set boundaries, learn how to navigate conflicts, widen your peer group and your social circles. For strengthening communication skills, some things like providing feedback appropriately, articulating ideas, interacting with others effectively, networking, building team relationships, understanding generational differences, and embracing diversity, just to name a few there. Then there's growth as a leader. A coach can support growing leadership attributes, things like decision-making, negotiation, empathy, time management, change management, setting a vision for the future. Personal growth, these would be things like self-growth, increasing your confidence, identifying your personal values, managing stress, progressing in your career, achieving health and well-being, establishing work-life harmony, volunteerism, serving others, stepping outside of your comfort zone. That's a big one. And also dealing with change and transition. Then we have goals, reaching your goals, setting achievable and actionable goals, your overall effectiveness, overcoming obstacles and challenges, identifying and using resources, and growing your business. For problem solving, you can boost your problem solving skills. And really, I think here solutioning is an amalgam of other skills. It's going to have things like communicating effectively, identifying risks and challenges, determining mitigation strategies, and thinking analytically or thinking creatively. Then we have action plans, and that's developing each step of your plan, considering all the facets or angles, and developing effective One of those things could be developing effective retention, attraction, and fundraising strategies. So now I'm going to talk about the et cetera. I added that here because really focus areas in coaching can be very unique to the individual or persons being coached. So you can't possibly fit every single thing on a slide. That's kind of that et cetera there. So what good is all this information if you can't apply it? So I am so glad that you asked that question. So here is how you can adopt a coaching mindset. The first step is genuinely wanting to serve and to help others by making an impact. And I'm going to drop a hint here. Rotarians have this one down. So you can just put a check mark in that box. So now we're going to put on our coaching cap. And that is a CAP. And just ignore my crazy hair because I know it's all crazy under this cap. But I want you to remember CAP. And the C is for curiosity. That's getting in the practice of putting others first by taking an interest in and being genuinely and humbly curious about them. Coaches do not hand out advice. They ask powerful questions. We believe as coaches that our coaching client has all the answers. We're just there to help facilitate their thought around those answers. We ask powerful questions. And if you're in a conversation with someone, being curious, you don't want to mistake interrogation for curiosity. So you don't want to be rapid firing questions. You want to definitely have some space in there to let them think, the person that you're talking to. The A is active listening, being attuned to the other person in the conversation. What does their body language look like? Their energy shifts, changes in their voice, the tone of their voice, understanding where they're coming from and what they are facing, checking in for understanding, and showing the appropriate empathy. You want to be able to disengage from your own ideas and outcomes and what you're going to say next. And I'm going to tell you here, this is something that takes practice because I think as human beings, our minds never turn off. We're always thinking about what we're going to say next. So it's sort of being so focused on the other person that you are letting them steer the conversation and you're not coming from your own agenda. So that takes some practice, but it can be done. And then lastly, the P is presence. And that is humbling oneself. And I'm going to use a quote that I heard in my coach training. I love this. It's for me, it's an image, and that is dancing in the moment. Just being in the moment and keeping an open mind with how the coaching conversation flows. So there's your CAP. Remember that one, folks. So before we wrap up today, let's briefly just summarize what we've learned. So we talked about what is coaching. We learned about the definition of coaching and its history. We talked about who is coaching for, and we learned about the audience for coaching and the traits of a strong coaching candidate. Number 3, why credentials matter. We talked about why ICF is the gold standard for coaching, establishing standards, training, and ethical practice. Number 4, how coaching can help Rotarians. We learned about how coaching works and its benefits for Rotarians. And number 5, application. We learned how to embrace and apply the coaching mindset to our everyday lives. So this is all important because quality coaching brings out the very best in an individual while it aligns their skills and drive with the objectives of the Rotary Club. And you can read this quote for yourself. But the point I want to make here is that this quote is a call to action. It's a rallying of heroes. Each Rotarian can contribute their best work towards service and community development and building and growing relationships. And I want to pause here to share that I'm not only the hair club president, but I'm also a client. I hope I made you smile here, but similarly, I'm not only a coach, but I have a coach too. And I'm going to give you a little story about a recent experience that I had. So I was stuck on how to approach a challenging conversation with someone I worked with who didn't report to me. And I tried looking at the challenge a couple of different ways, couple of different angles, and I was still stuck. So I finally met up with my coach for support. Did they tell me the answer? No. But what they did do was partner with me and ask me the tough questions that I needed. My challenge was that I could not approach this subject myself without it making me squirm. I'm talking squirm in my seat, squirm. But working with my coach, I was able to find a solution that moved the tough conversation that I needed to have forward successfully and without conflict. So I want to just take a moment and thank everyone for your time today. I really enjoyed this time together and I appreciated the opportunity to present to you.